Evening everybody, welcome to the workbench. This evening we're going to be loading 500 grain Sabot slugs. This would be with the Ballistic Products RSS Sabot. So this isn't a Foster type slug encased in a plastic wad. This is a real live Sabot. You can compare it to what you can buy at the store at Walmart. Any gun shop in the $3 a round range. Tonight we're going to load it for about $1.30, $1.40, something like that, and it shoots just as well, honestly, as the high dollar Sabots do. I got interested in these mostly for that reason. It's really the reason I got into reloading, is I knew there had to be a way to load this Sabot around a lot cheaper, and we found it. Tested it at 50 yards, it works great. We're going to test it again at 100 here, hopefully in a couple weeks, and see what they can do. Until then, I guess I better load up the next round's worth. Something that I learned about these, and if you watch my other video at the 50-yard range, you'll see I learned the hard way. The first time I loaded these, every one of them failed to cycle in my 1187. I think there were a couple reasons for that, and I think I've worked through them. The first of which, the load data calls for a Fiocchi Hull, Fiocchi primer. I had brand new Skiv Fiocchi Hulls. Now the deal with them is, they would not cycle. They all had to be resized. I tried it a couple different ways through my shotgun. If I resized them, they shot just fine, or they cycled just fine. The other thing I think may have contributed, I had a saddle mount on my 1187 so I could shoot the EOTech off the top of it. The instructions for the saddle mount specifically stated that you thread it. It basically replaces the takedown pins on the bottom to hold the trigger to the receiver. I replaced them. It says tighten it as tight as you can, basically, and still allow the action to cycle freely. And I thought I did. All my other slugs shot through it okay. These did not. So, anyways, I resized the brass. I took the saddle mount off, and they cycled just fine. So we are firing brand new Fiocchi Hulls with the Fiocchi primer. Next component in the list will be Longshot powder. Longshot, I'm not crazy about it, but with the powder situation being what it is now, you take what you can get, and especially in the case of this particular load. Basically all of the components, I was in a take what you can get scenario. 22 grains of Longshot. I'll have all the load data in the description section for you. Next item will be the Ballistic Products gas seal, and I'm going to get up close so you can see that. Okay, see, I love the Ballistic Products gas seal, and you'll see why in a minute. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we go to actually seating the Sabot on top of it. The next item will be the RSS Sabot itself. You see, the RSS Sabot is a blue, really hard plastic case, basically, that the Hornady 500 grain bullet is going to seat into. And I'll show you kind of how we're going to do that. There's some things you need to know going forward. We'll top that off with an 8-point fold crimp, and we will be ready to rock. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is take our brand new, never fired Fiocchi Hull with Fiocchi primer, and we're going to scale out 22 grains of Longshot. Now I don't have a powder trickler, so we kind of have to do this the ghetto way. It works, it just takes a little practice, a little finger dexterity, and you'll get there. But damn, some days I wish I had a trickler though. There's 22-4. 22 flat, perfect. I figure also, because this isn't metallic and we're not shooting at 300 yards or 600 yards or whatever, it's not the end of the world if I'm a tenth or so of a grain off. Next item in our shot column, make sure all the powder grains aren't sticking to the wall of the hole here, will be the Ballistic Products gas seal. As we talked about before, it's actually a pretty awesome cushion as far as absorbing the impact of the explosion and shoving the Sabot at the end of the barrel. So we're going to take that, we're going to shove it in through the hole and seat it on top of the powder. Next thing I like to do is give it a little bit of a tap on the bench, something like that. What I want to do is really flatten that powder out, really make sure that the dished portion of the bottom of the seal here sits nicely on top of the powder. Remember, this seal is really, it's ambidextrous, I guess. There's no top or bottom, both sides of it are dished slightly. Next item in the shot column will be the Sabot itself. Now this Sabot is really hard plastic, it's rigid, hard plastic. And the problem with that is what we want, when this Sabot leaves the hole travels down the barrel and leaves the barrel, we want it to separate from the projectile, our 500 grain slug here. We want it to separate as seamlessly as it possibly can, as smoothly and as quickly. With as rigid as this plastic is, it does have the tendency to actually rip the petals off. It comes out the barrel with such force, and this is rigid enough, it can rip the petals off and you will lose accuracy that way. I was fortunate enough to get some good advice on a forum before I ever loaded any of these. And if you watch my 50-yard loading video, you also saw that was pretty seamless. I mean, every one of these was recovered in good condition. They had good engagement with the lands of the barrel. There were no issues there whatsoever. So what we're actually going to do with this is take it, we're going to open it up. We're going to splay the petals out as best we can. I'm going to take it and set it on a flat surface and really flatten that thing out. Okay, remember, we're pre-stressing these petals so that when it comes out of the hole, travels down the barrel, as soon as it hits the fresh air outside the barrel, it's going to open up, release the sabot, or release the slug, get a good spin on the slug, and we're in business. Okay, the next thing you're going to want to do, take the hole, Longshot, gas seal, set the sabot in on top, kind of like this. Take your slug, all right? You're going to set it on top, and you're going to push the two in here, together. You bastard. Get in there. Okay, just like that. We want to make sure that the bullet is seated as close to the bottom of the sabot as it can be. We're going to shove it into the hole as far as we can. We're going to use the rammer tube here just a little bit. We don't want to compress this gas seal too much. We're going to use it just enough to make sure we have good positive contact between the gas seal and the bottom of the sabot. Okay, so we've got our sabot and our slug seated inside the hole. Next thing I'm going to do is put an 8-point fold crimp on it. And we're done. Okay, well, I hope this was helpful. I had to learn a lot of this stuff the hard way. I was awful disappointed that I watched a ton of reloading videos before I ever got into it, and there just weren't any reloading videos of this item in particular on YouTube. So if you're sick and tired of spending $3 and change per round for the high-end sabots, or just want to learn more about loading slugs in general, I hope I was able to help you out. As long as these things, I can get them to cycle, this is definitely my field load this fall. So ask whatever questions you got in the comments section. There may be a follow-up to this video if I can find the leftover sabots from my last shoot. I'll show them, talk about them, kind of the do's and don'ts, I guess. Yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.